What is up? Notebook Wagering is back for your weekly edition of the show. We've got a bunch of topics to talk about, but first off, we are live from the Salisbury Center, fueled by Monster Energy, and I am drinking one currently on the show. The Watermelon All Zero is my favorite, and I need it today. This whole month with the tournament, now we got baseball starting, been hot and heavy with college baseball. I'm just drained, so kudos to the sponsorship for hooking us up with some Monster Energies because it's paying off tonight. What's going on, Smitty?
What's going on, guys? Great to be here. A lot of action. We got so much sports. Major League Baseball starts tomorrow. I can't believe it.
I love it. It's Christmas Day.
It is, man. Let's go Pirates. Maddie, what's going on tonight?
Oh, in honor of my favorite sport, not my favorite betting sport, but my favorite sport, baseball, I'm wearing the Sandlot shirt tonight with Wendy Peppercorn on it. You can't beat the boys of summer. I'm ready to go. We got a great guest tonight, and then I'm going to talk depressing Final Four with you guys first.
Matt, let's make it quick. I got to get back for lunch.
Hurry up. Let's go.
Little Hambino quote there. Jason, what's going on?
Not much. I found out this week that from the Sandlot that Smalls was actually the best athlete out of the whole crew, and it kind of blew my mind. I'm enjoying the victors. I won the family bracket. Not proud of it. Really got one team through the Final Four, but UConn, thank you very much. There's a lot of pride with that. You get beat by your nephews, it's never good. And about to start the 1,000-mile march that is the Pirates baseball season. It can wear and tear on you as a Pirates fan when there was literally no hope at the end. And still crying about losing my basketball coach at Penn State. So, yeah, it's been a great week.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to my youngest daughter, Danica. She won the bracket this year.
I feel like she wins horse races.
No,
brackets.
Dakota's the horse racing.
Okay, Dakota.
Dakota's the horse racing girl. I trained her well. But Danica, first big win because she was always like in the basement. And I needed Texas to win that last game and it didn't happen. So which was good because I had Miami in a lot of bets. So I was glad that she won. So good job. Speaking
of teaching her well, you actually taught me how to gamble. I must have been 10 or 11. I'll never forget it.
I got a lot of good quality traits in myself.
We were at a preseason game. It was Ravens-Eagles. T.O. was not playing. I do remember that. And because I was excited to see him get hit by Ray Lewis. And I remember going through the game, and next thing I know, Smitty says, I need minus whatever for the spread. And I asked what it was, and he looks at my old man and he goes, "Hey, can I tell your son what a spread is?" My dad said, "I don't care. Rest is history. Here I am."
I think I won that. Betting preseason football, man. That's where the action is.
It went from asking my dad if you can tell me what a spread is to now we're hosting a gambling show.
Now we're doing a podcast. Life's funny.
I love it. All right, let's get right into this. I'll tell you where I have not been taught well was this basketball tournament. I'm kind of hovering the 50-50 mark, but as of late, I've struggled. I did ride to Kansas State train a little bit. Tough loss for them. Good season. Did not like the coach going into the other locker room, though. That was kind of a turnoff for me. I think that was kind of like a look at me moment. But we move forward, and we've got Florida Atlantic, San Diego State, Miami, and UConn playing for the Final Four. Definitely outside of so there was some love for Miami, but outside of UConn, I mean, nobody saw Florida Atlantic and San Diego State. And I say nobody as in the masses getting this far. So kudos to them. But also screw them because they lost me some money. So what's your thoughts, Smitty?
Well, Miami's been the team that I've been backing, and it's been really well. And I did really well on Sunday when they got down. I had a money line, I had the spread money line, and then I did take 2 live bets when they got down. And
like +9 and something else.
9.5, I think, and I think a +12.5. So I mean, it worked out. So Miami's been my team right now. So hey, I'm going to keep going right back to it. So go Miami.
We'll start with you boys. Why don't we just break down the first game? And we only have 2 games, so we can go a little more in depth. Let's talk the 6 o'clock game. And again, we'll start with you guys. Florida Atlantic and San Diego State. San Diego State a 5 seed, FAU a 9 seed. Over-under is 131.5, and the spread is San Diego State -1.5. Jason, why don't we start with you, and then we'll go to Matt. But give us your thoughts on that game, where you're leaning, what the stats say. You're kind of the stat nerd for us. What you got for us?
So, yeah, I was just looking at that. Obviously, that's a low total to begin with. You're looking at like a game in the 60s with the 131 line.
Yeah.
I got 2 models. One that kind of lines up with that, and the second one basically said it might go even under. So that's kind of surprising. Not really. Both teams play pretty good defense. I think Florida Atlantic would like to push it a little more than San Diego State would. San Diego State's kind of got that big, just physically opposing lineup where they just grind on you. And that's something the Florida Atlantic's have to deal with. It's a 3-guard lineup. They're smallish. I mean, they do have a 7-footer, but everybody else is pretty much undersized, at least in this matchup. So it'll be interesting. I mean, San Diego State's kind of, people have picked them this far before, and they've kind of always disappointed. And if you look at them out in the West the last couple of years, that's one of the reasons they were kind of taking the shells for them because, I mean, everyone else is disappointed out of that league. And San Diego State was right there with them until this year. So it's not completely surprising. They've had a good program, but I don't know. It's really tough. I mean, Florida Atlantic, you got to think that when they went home after that getting into the Final Four, it's probably been a really crazy week down in Boca Raton. I kind of like the Aztecs here. It's 1.5. I think it's going to be a real low-scoring game, and I think they're just going to grind on them. Maddie, what do you think?
I'm going to go the other way. I actually think, and here's my breakdown of it. San Diego State has the NBA pro bodies. Florida Atlantic actually is pretty deep. They do have the big guy in the center underneath. They have the better guards, though. And when you look at the numbers, San Diego State is, I mean, they're holding teams to what, like 26% three-point shooting?
Unheard of.
Yeah, they're dominating on the defensive end. But are they really dominating? Or are these teams that they're playing just that bad at shooting right now? Now, they're going to be in the big dome, which is always a problem, so the shooters better be ready. I think this is going to be, low scoring where they have it. And if Jason says even lower, then go with it because like I just said, they're probably going to shoot bad out of the gate until they get adjusted. But I like Florida Atlantic. I mean, I think I saw a stat where only 2 teams have won 35-plus games. I think both have went on to win the title. So give me a little bit of the odd numbers there. Go ahead, Jason.
So talk about 3-point shooting. So starting with Utah State in the Mountain West Final, they held them to 16.7%, 20% against Charlotte, 23% against Furman. And these are good 3-point shooting teams. 11% against Alabama, and then 11% against Creighton. Those last 2 are mind-blowing. Like, some of that is luck, but a lot of that was really good defense, too. They were just in guy shirts and not really giving them a lot of space.
Yeah. Smitty, what's your thoughts?
The thing, I think a quick thing to that, though, Florida Atlantic runs all the backdoor cuts, though, too. So if these guys are going to jump out onto that three-point line, they're going to have guys cutting to the hoop, and I think they can get some easy hoops going to the basket, and then if somebody drops in and picks up the guy cutting, that 7-footer is always down on either block just to hand it off to him. So I don't know. I'm going to ride with the Owls. I know San Diego State's so good defensively. I hate watching them play, but give me Florida Atlantic in this one.
Yeah, this is hard. I think I'm going to sit until about Friday, maybe even Saturday, because there hasn't been a lot of movement on these games. So I want to kind of see if it starts picking up on by like Friday night, Saturday morning, if you see some movement in the lines here a little bit. I kind of agree with Matt. Hey, it's hard to go against Conference USA right now. Yep. I mean, we were talking off air. They're like 16-1 straight up in these tournaments. Charlotte won the one. You have North Texas tomorrow night against UAB in the NIT, and now you have Florida Atlantic. And it's hard to go against them right now in this. The one thing too is turnovers. Florida Atlantic was turning the ball over a lot in their last game. Can San Diego State force the same thing with that? I think at times they kind of were trying to speed it up a little bit and they kind of got sloppy with the ball. But, it's tough. Jason gave just a fantastic stat there, how they're shutting these teams down, shooting the 3-pointer. That's hard. And, but you look at the stats, they're a better shooting team. If you look overall, the team stats, Florida Atlantic has a lot, they're better. And so let's see where the line goes here. But right now, I like San Diego State, but I kind of might go with Matt. I might lean Florida Atlantic.
It's so tough. And then the -1.5, that's almost a pick 'em if you think about it. I would lean, I think I'm going to do what Smitty does. I kind of want to see where the money and the line movement goes, but I would lean San Diego State. And I'll say this. I faded them the entire time. And the one thing I've noticed, like you guys just said, they held Creighton to like 11% and everybody else right around that 20 or below from the 3-point line. Creighton and those other teams had some wide open looks. It wasn't like there was a guy in their face at all times. And I forget which color commentator said it, but I agree with it. It was almost like they were covered so tight for so many attempts on the line. When the teams did get an opportunity to shoot a wide open three, it seemed like they rushed it, like it was almost uncomfortable to be that wide open. And that almost is just as good as being right in somebody's grill, because sometimes I think the easiest shot is sometimes the hardest to make. And I think that's what kind of you saw. I did like Matt's point, though, that FAU does do a lot of backdoor cuts. We did see, and like you said, they were turning over the last couple games, even against Tennessee. Tennessee was getting their hands involved in those backdoor cuts in the first half, and it was effective. But then they just kept battling through it. They had some composure. The one thing that does scare me, though, is San Diego State's top players have not played well in this tournament. And at what point does somebody bounce back? And that's kind of what scares me. I mean, we talked about on the show, Arkansas's best player ended up turning it on pretty well. Now, the rest of the team just got, shit on per se, but he had a pretty good start compared to his last few games. And again, at some point, man, star players stay star players for a reason, and they don't go through these long slumps, but so often and for so long. And I just think that might be the edge. Like, do we finally see them kind of wake up, and now you've got a complete San Diego State juggernaut team? With that being said, I am going to wait, but I would almost lean San Diego State for that reason defensively, and then their best players eventually they got to turn it on. And there's only 2 games left. So.
Yeah, Bradley only played 20 minutes because he was in foul trouble.
But he's such a good player.
He had 2 points. 2 points, Trammell. Trammell's been, I think, really picking it up in this. So, yeah, I mean, and that's hard. You get in, your star player gets in foul trouble quick. I mean, it can really change.
Well, it screwed Keontae Johnson with Kansas State. I mean, he was in foul trouble and took them out of the game plan.
And another one, we're going to talk about UConn here in a couple minutes, but I mean, with the Zags, Timmy got in foul trouble, and I mean, I don't even know if that was gonna.
I don't think it mattered
really, but you could tell when he got those quick fouls, and that's the thing. So fouls, that's key in this. Star player staying in. The big guy underneath I like him, talented guy. He's very good around the basket. So I think it's going to be a great game. And again, one of the things with this tournament so far is these unders. The unders are still doing really well in this. So.
And it should justify to Jason and Matt's point about being in the bigger stadiums. The lighting's different. There's a million more fans in the stadium. Like the view from the point of view of your eyes trying to focus on the hoop's going to be completely different. So that just plays in the Jason models of even being further under. Matt, what's going on?
So, Q, you brought up Matt Bradley for San Diego State. I think he went 3 of 16 in the second weekend there.
Oh, he's horrible right now. Between foul trouble and shooting, like he's too good to continue this, in my opinion.
That's what you want to think, but then again,
you're right.
Florida Atlantic plays really good defense themselves. So,
yep, you're right.
He can't score. It's like we've said it on the past couple shows. We've been waiting for even Jason texted it out right away at the beginning of the Creighton game. Here's the San Diego State bricklayers. Here they come.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I think Creighton just ran out of gas. But I don't know. That's why I lean Florida Atlantic. I don't know if Matt Bradley is that actual guy.
Fair. I mean, he hasn't. If somebody's to say he's not the guy, you're looking pretty in your argument right now. So there's definitely, like, you can see both sides of it. I wouldn't be surprised if he jumps out and has a breakout game, but I'm also, and to your point, like, he is in a slump. I wouldn't be surprised if he stays in it, and then that bodes well for Florida Atlantic.
Well, I think if you would have said going into that game against the Blue Jays, if he was in foul trouble, would we be playing in the Final Four? They would have been like, no chance.
Yeah,
no chance at all. So, I mean, it's amazing that they're here because he is their star player.
Well, I think also, too, Creighton's coaching and lack of depth kind of hurt them. You could just see they kind of seemed to run out of gas late. Now, we obviously had discrepancies on the foul call. I feel like you don't make that call because you haven't called it for 39 other minutes. But beyond that point, you could just see Creighton getting tired in the second half and San Diego State essentially not being tired because they were constantly replenishing bodies, especially their big man like A-Rope would come in and give them solid 5-6 minute stretches and then let their other big guy come in and he was essentially healthy or fresh. So that you could just tell, and even the commentators mentioned it, like Creighton's running the same 5-6 guys all night. At some point, this is going to hurt them, and I think ultimately it did.
Great.
All right, let's talk the last game. So we have Miami and Connecticut. Connecticut is laying 5.5. Over-under is 149.5. Kudos to Miami. I rode them hard last year when we were out in Vegas. The one thing about them, and I actually think if they can shoot like they did in the last 10 minutes against Texas, frankly, the whole tournament, I don't know that there was a team in this tournament across all 68 that had 4 solid shooters. And when I say shooters, like can make the shots. Anybody could shoot the ball, but they make them. And they make them like turn around, fadeaways, threes. Omier down low. They just make every shot between Miller, Wong, Pack, Omier. Like they're just so hard to cover. Most teams have 2, maybe 3 scores. They got 4. And that's so hard to defend all 4 because I
think their starting 5 were all in double digits.
Yeah, they can all score. Nigel Pack's a number 1 on any other team, and he's kind of Batman and Robin with, Wong. Like those to have those 2 guards is incredible, and they don't. You could tell they're composed. Like they didn't stress. I mean, they were down 13, and it was like nothing. They turned on the gas, and that was it. I think that they can give Connecticut, as long as Omier stays out of foul trouble with that big guy UConn has, who's very physical. I think that they could actually outshoot UConn here because I think UConn's only got a couple like true shooters, and I just think it's so hard, for them to guard 4 guys and have 4 guys not shoot the ball. I mean, as hot as they're playing, Miami could win this whole tournament. I do think the winner of the Miami-UConn game is going to be your national championship. I will say that.
Yeah, Miami's good as a dog. I have down their 9-2 ATS dog this year. They're, the last 3 games they've been an underdog and they've won. They've beaten number 1. They beaten number 2. Like you said, I have down on my index card the guard play. They have so many guys that can beat you. Miller was the guy last game, I think, with 27 points.
Wong had 27 against Indiana.
Yeah, and this team's scoring, 85, 89, 88 points. So this is a good team, but you look at UConn and again, they played Iona, beat them by 24. St. Mary's by 15, Arkansas by 23, the Zags by 28. You would have never, I was sitting on my couch going, what is happening? I never thought that was going to happen, but they are a machine right now. I said to you guys that Hawkins, man, coming off the screens, he looks like Ray Allen. Just how quick he can get the shot off. Yeah. It's just amazing. The big guys underneath. They bring guys off the bench. So Miami's going to have to bring their A game. There's no doubt. They could get run out of the gym. But again, I haven't taken a bet yet. I'd love to see this get up to 6. Right now, I think it's 5.5. I'd love to see it up to 6. And then, I'll tell you right now, because I like doing a teaser play. I'll take Florida Atlantic up, and I'll take Miami up. That will be one of my bets. But I think it's going to be a great game. But Miami's been good to me, so I might have to go right back with the Hurricanes. Maddie, what do you got on this one?
Wow. I'm going to give no love to Storrs, Connecticut, and I'm also going to give no love to Miami, Florida. I hate both schools.
Oh, I'm with you. But I'm forced.
Huge but I love this Miami basketball team. Those 3 guards, Wong, Miller, Pack, phenomenal. You hit it, though. If Norshad Omier can stay out of foul trouble, because Sonogo and the other bigs they bring in after him are going to test him down low all game. He's 6'7". He does play like he's a 6'11" power forward.
He's definitely undersized height-wise, but he's so physically strong.
He is. And I'm with Smitty, though. I'm going to keep rolling this Miami team. I've already bet it. I took the points. I grabbed 5.5. I actually think the play here, though, is the over because Miami doesn't play really good D.
No.
Connecticut doesn't really play great D either, even though they have the shot blockers down low if you try to test them. But they love to run. They love to cut. They are a team that never stops moving. Like somebody said with Hawkins coming off screens and whatnot, just pick and pop. They're constant motion, and they're really good at distributing the ball. So I think this is an overplay, but I do like Miami with that asterisk on Omier because if he gets in foul trouble, I think this one gets out of control.
Yeah, well, he's the only big that they have. And we saw that last year when they played Kansas. The first half, they were in that game within a basket or 2 the whole time, and then their undersized center, not Omier, I can't think of his name, he's not there anymore, got real quick in foul trouble in the second half, and then he went out of the game with like 15 minutes left in the second half, and then Kansas all right, cool. Just kept dumping down, and then they ended up winning by like 20-something points. So that could be
Jason's stats under here, but so we use Ken Palm a lot, and Bama was the number 1 Ken Palm team. They're out. Houston, the number 2 team. They're out. Number 3 was UCLA. They're out. So maybe those rankings aren't up to snuff this year. And guess who's number 4? It's UConn. So, I mean, they are the top ranked team left. But Q, I think you did nail it with an overall bigger picture. This is the national title game. The winner of this game takes it all.
I kind of wish that, and you would never know this, but I kind of wish they were opposite and was the national title.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Sorry, Jason. Go ahead if I stole your stats. Or...
No, not at all. I mean, it's tough because you look at the numbers and the model loves UConn, but man, it's like we talked about this. You can't kill Miami. like you said, you got all the scores. Somebody's going to be hot no matter all the 4, and they have a really tough matchup. I mean, UConn's bodies actually match up pretty well. Like they play basically a 4-guy lineup. I thought Jackson, who was playing for them against these guys, matched up on Timmy, who actually played really smart, even though Timmy wasn't guarding him. He's going to be a huge factor in this game because he's probably going to be the guy they're going to put on whoever's hot at that time and like to try to shut somebody down because they don't count on him for offense. I think that's the hardest part, right? You have all these guys, you have to play defense against Miami, and they make shots.
Yeah.
And they don't need they run a lot of offense. They don't need a lot of offense. There's going to be times where guys are just going to get one-on-one like it's an NBA game and take you, and that's really the biggest thing. Now, I do think the issue is with the big guys. Like, they have to go inside of Sanogo. They have to get Omie in foul trouble because that pulls one of those guards down to the post. And all of a sudden, they're focused on that. Connecticut has 2 really good bigs. I actually like 32's game just as much as I like Sanogo's game because I think their offense works better when 32's in it. What was his name? Elude me now. Klingon. Like, but let's see, UConn, this is the difference from last year's team to this year's team. Like, last year they had the metrics, but when you watched them, there was no one who could score. And this year it seems like they have a bunch of guys who can score.
All they had was Boatwright last year.
Yeah, and even he wasn't that kind of like a guy who could really get his own shot. He was really contained. I mean, Teddy Allen basically took them on himself and beat them in the first round, which should never happen. But I'm leaning Canes at the points. Like you said, I hope it gets up to 6. I think the tease was a really smart play because you can't kill Miami. Texas had them down. Like, Texas was playing really good defense. Like, they had a 10-point lead, and all of a sudden they stopped making shots, and Miami started making shots, and it was over. Like, I mean, you're just watching the game. There was nothing Texas could do to get back into that game. They just literally they were going to have to match them shot for shot, and you just can't do it. Do you agree, Matt, or no?
I do. I just wanted to say, bring up a pass point though. When people were upset that Gonzaga, Timmy was in foul trouble, etc. They could have had Dan Dickow, Ronnie Toriano, and Timmy, and they weren't winning that game.
Yeah, no, it didn't matter.
UConn was just they crushed it that game. I mean, they were dominant. So it ties into Jason with if they feed that Sanogo down low, and I'm pretty sure they're going to right out of the gate and see if they can get Omie in foul trouble.
Well, that's got to be the game plan. You know, Miami's only got one big.
It doesn't happen.
Can I jump in real quick? Because I wrote something down this week. I think, again, with the turnovers, because everybody was panicked with UConn going into the last game and because, if you look at UConn, they had 9 turnovers against Iona, 14 against St. Mary's. Then it went up to 17, and, they blew them out, but they still turned the ball over. And everybody was saying, going into that playing Gonzaga there, hey, watch the turnovers here, man. They're a little sloppy with the ball. So they only had 8 against them. Now, if you look at Miami, they forced 12 against Drake, 12 against Indiana, 8 against Houston, and then 14 against Texas. I think one of the big things in this is, can Miami get them to turn the ball over? Then they're right in this game, and they could maybe pull the win.
Couple things. I think if you're UConn, Miami's got one big, so you have to attack them. But if you're Miami, I think you almost pull your guys off the bench, right? And you purposely take some bench guards early on in the game, and you take a couple charges, so be it. But force the referee to make the charge or the blocking call on Sanogo, because I think if you you have 2 or 3 fouls on him, one's going to go your way, right? So you get him 1 foul. Then I think if you're Omie, he's going to kind of bull rush you inside and really push back on you when he's backing down. Pull the rug out, slide to the side. Let them turn the ball over, because when those big guys, they're shifting all their weight back, they're lopsided. There's a reason they're big guys. They don't move as quick as guards. They don't have the footwork in the realistic scheme. Let them fall back, because we've seen a lot of these tournament games. There's been some guys where they pull out, just to the left or the right, and then all of a sudden on the baseline, the ball's, out of bounds. It's turnover. Do that, because I think that you could maybe get in his head a little bit and almost use Omir's quickness as an advantage in that. But here's another stat. It's pretty crazy. I think this is going to be the fifth Final Four or sixth Final Four that UConn's been in, and they go on to win the national title when they're here. I mean, you look, they made it with, the 99, the 04, the Kemba year, what was that, 11? The Shabazz with Kevin Ollie in 14, and then now here. Like, they won all those. So that's, I mean, they don't lie. Like, they've made themselves in the last 25 years a blue blood. When they get to this point, they usually advance. So that's also kind of a metric. I wouldn't be surprised if they win this game pretty handily, because the numbers are showing that they get to the national title, and then when they do, they win it. I mean, they don't lose them.
Who do you give the coaching advantage to? There you go. Okay, there's the equalizer to that.
I'm always amazed how Jersey City Danny Hurley sounds like when he talks.
Yeah, but did you give Kevin Ollie the advantage?
And then when you see him on a Saturday and Sunday when he's wearing a hat, you're like, who the hell is this guy? And it's UConn's head coach. It's pretty stunning.
Did you give Kevin? I mean, you don't give Kevin Ollie the advantage though when he won a national title.
I don't even know who they played.
They definitely weren't favored to win. I mean, I know that, and obviously he's not where he's at anymore. He got fired, whether it was right or wrong. But
one bet I'd keep an eye on, and it's not in my book right now, is the team points. Because I think we all kind of
I don't.
This
think
could
I
be a
have that
shootout
right
here. This might, and I think it was Matt that brought it up and said Miami's defense is a little leaky at times. Keep an eye on the team points, Connecticut, and maybe take the over in that.
Or both. I mean, if you're saying it's going to be an over, lay the team points for both teams and see where it gets you. You might hit one, you might hit both. That's just kind of how I would go if you're thinking that way. If you're thinking under, slide team total under. But all right, that's all we got for those games. Obviously, we'll talk national championship on Twitter because that'll be Monday night. I think Monday 9. Yep. So we'll jump on a Twitter space. We've never done one. Maybe we do that. All four of us, we get on there, kind of test the waters, dip our toes in it, and see what that brings. But let's move on to baseball. Opening day tomorrow. I'll be at Nats Park to start the first loss of my oversweat, 57.5.
Be positive.
Hey, listen, I'm positive because I'm going to have a nice cocktail, a nice hot dog, and it's supposed to be 55 and sunny, so I'll take that. I've been to some that have been ice cold and miserable, so hopefully we get a win. Maybe we steal one because everybody's jacked, but I think our guest is here, so we'll bring him on. So we got a guest for you guys. There he is. So we've got Josh Towers, former Major League pitcher. He's been on the show a couple times if you followed us. What's going on, Josh?
What's up, man? How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming on again. Exciting time, man. This is Christmas Day. You would know firsthand.
I got a couple questions real quick. What's the lovely cocktail you're gonna have?
Probably a nice Mick Ultra because they don't sell Miller Lite at the Nats Stadium anymore, which is egregious. They used to. There used to be one stand that I always go to, and I don't think it's there anymore. So.
And then, Patrick Corbin, your opening day starter.
Let's not talk about that.
He might have about 5.
How's your arm looking? It looks fresh. How's your arm going?
I don't. I'm not gonna talk smack about anybody, but I think I could do a respectful job right now.
I think you could.
I think that means you're expecting some long balls, Josh.
I looked at the team, man, and it doesn't look very good. And Patrick didn't have a good year last year, and as optimistic as I would love to be, it doesn't look good.
I think it's going to be better, but I don't think you could get worse than what he did. So we're going to stay optimistic. It's game 1. We go 1-0. We're on 162-0 win streak projection. So let's have some faith here in DC.
Hey, Josh here. So he's a Nats fan. Myself and Jason, we're Pirate fans. So this is hard, man.
Wow. Is there an A's fan in here somewhere?
Just for you, I'd be a Rays fan.
Rays or A's, because you could pick both.
A's? Well, I used to love the A's, but not anymore.
So I'm gonna jump in.
Like 220.
Hey, Josh, real quick. So since it's opening day, I mean, you've been there. What is the overall feeling as a major league player? Just, maybe being a real young guy up in the show, or as you get older as a veteran, what's the feeling of opening day?
It's there's so many, right? I mean, you're in spring training and you're on the team, so you're preparing for it. Spring training becomes preparation more than anything, and opening day, like, obviously it's real. So it's like, it's hard to explain because you don't look at stats as much, but then your entire contract and your season is based on and predicated around it. And it's nice just to get back and have some meaningful games to it. With that said, when you're on the cusp or young, and I've been there a few times, you're trying to make the team, and spring training becomes very stressful, and you don't even process opening day until tomorrow when you're running out the red carpet or whatever it is. If you made it, like, it's not even in the sights. I mean, there's guys that just found out today or late last night that they made the team that couldn't even prepare for anything, right? So it's it just depends on your place. But when opening day is here, the excitement, it doesn't really, I mean, maybe the postseason excitement, but it doesn't really get better than all the fans back. Everybody's ready for baseball. We got 6 months of a good time getting ready to happen. It's I don't know, it's about as good as it gets, right?
Do you think, just to piggyback on that question, do you think guys come in loose or nervous because it's the first game, they don't want to start the season on a loss?
It's not so much a loss, right? I mean, every day we're doing whatever we can collectively as a team to win.
Sure.
But we also know that, like, you're going to lose games. I mean, we used to have things with the Orioles, like if we went – I mean, I guess with the Jays, it was like, let's just try to win each series. And with the Orioles, it was something like – I remember something was like if we go 11 or 12-8 every 20 games, I mean, at a certain point, you're so far above 500, you're in a good place, right? So you try to – really minimize what you're trying to accomplish. I mean, sweeping people is not the reality of Major League Baseball, but it's a goal. And everybody collectively, I want to do well today. I'm the starting pitcher. You want to do well tomorrow. You're the starting pitcher, et cetera. But it's just really, I mean, who are you and where are you at in your career? You're a young kid making your debut. You want to go 4 for 4. You're a veteran who's established. If the calls for moving a guy over, that's what you're going to do. If it calls for trying to get a ball up to drive him in, that's what you're going to do, right? So everybody's situation is different based on where they're at.
Yeah, I like that answer.
Josh, I'll go real quick just because you brought up the Jays.
Yeah.
Are the Jays who basically stacked their pitching this year, in my opinion anyway, is this the year they're going to topple the Yanks and the Rays and finally take this division, or no?
Listen, Tampa's done a good job. Kevin's done a good job, but you're asking a lot, right? You're asking a lot of that bullpen who's all going to get hurt, and then you got to replace it with an entire new bullpen, and they're going to get hurt, and the other bullpen comes back. And it's a tough game that he continues to play over there when you only got like 1 or 2 starters who never go past 4 innings. I like Tampa. They're always going to be in the game because he's very intelligent, but I just don't know if they have the firepower to go the full season to beat what these two teams are offering. Toronto needed to add that pitching. They needed Yusei Kikuchi to have the spring training Yusei did. Hopefully Yusei believes in himself and carries that over to the regular season because he's as good as what we saw. I've seen this kid for years and in Japan. And then they added some other guys. Alec Manoah's, at West Virginia, we knew he was going to be the guy, right? And then Bassett's, he'll have his bad games, but he's consistently good and gives the team an opportunity. So, I mean, they added what they needed to add to help that team. The bullpen has to do their job. I think the offense is in a place where they're solidified Major League Baseball players. So I think the contention should be there the entire year. I mean, if they win it, I'm not going to be surprised. I mean, it's tough to pick over the Yankees. I don't think Boston's in play. But the Yankees are starting with, Severino and Rodon on the shelf, I believe. You got guys like Brito and some other guys that can step up. Do we really think, and again, no disrespect, but anybody can do anything once. Do we really think Nestor Cortez is going to be that guy again next year? I don't, right? That's a lot to live up to. And maybe he is that good, but the pressure of trying to duplicate what he did when he'd never done it before, that mounts within you. So I don't think we can count on Nestor like that. They're going to need depth. And I don't know. I just don't think their offense is as good as it is on paper, right? So I love the Yankees, but I think the Jays are slightly better.
I would agree with that, especially with the Yankees. They only have two real starters, in my opinion. And Garrett Cole, I don't know. He didn't impress me last year. Maybe he didn't really have offensive production, but then you throw in like a rookie named Anthony Volpo. Obviously, he's got tough shoes to fill. He's kind of, everybody's saying he's next Jeter, so now he's made the team. What's that going to be? So that could be a down bat. Judge, is Judge going to have the same season? Like, that was pretty perfect season from an offensive standpoint. Like, it's normal to have some regression. So I really like that. In fact, I think it would be worth the money on a gambling perspective to lay the Jays, because like you said, I think the Rays, like, they play picture perfect, almost scientific baseball or statistical baseball. And that only gets you so far. And then, you got teams like the Orioles, they're on the up and up. So that's, equate those to a couple more losses somewhere else, whether it's the Yankees, Red Sox, or Rays. The Red Sox kind of have started, if they can get Justin Turner back, that'll help whenever he's healthy and stuff like that. The Rays have a good lineup offensively. They're going to keep you in games. So I think it's worth laying the money on the AL East. I mean, how can you not? As close as good as everybody else is, they're going to beat up on each other. So give them the odds.
Yeah, and everybody's style of baseball is different, right? Like Tampa's style of baseball, with the way they pitch, that's what's going to keep them in games. The offense every now and then click. Otherwise, the offense is going to be like 1 or 2 runs or 8 or 9. I mean, it's such an inconsistency, but the starting pitching does. Listen, we all know it's almost impossible to duplicate what Judge did. I mean, the only guy that's ever done that was Barry Bonds, and that was an average season for him because he was the greatest player to ever play our game. Judge had a phenomenal year at the right time, and so he got a lot of pub for it. But do we really think he's going to do it again? I mean, if he hits 45, 47 homers, yeah, I'll expect something like that, but not really what he done. It was amazing. And when are we going to learn as pitchers, like, that's not the guy to pitch to? Put him on. Like, you got John Carlos Stanton hit somewhere near him, and you got Josh Donaldson. Yeah, I'll put my blindfold on and face those guys all day over Aaron Judge. So, like, why would I even pitch to him?
I'm in agreement. Just for that, you can get him at plus 600. So I actually think you talked me into that. I think I'm going to put some on that responsibly tonight. Jason, Matt, you guys got any questions?
Tons. So, Josh, you actually nailed the Aaron Judge home run total. I actually looked at it today. You said 45 or 47. I believe the over/under was 46. So great work there.
Wow,
this guy knows ball.
Not like you have any tickets out there or anything, but
that's why he's expert.
I want a fun story. So it's notoriously known that pitchers in spring training play a lot of golf. I want a golf story. I'm sure you got something up your sleeve.
I'll tell you why I didn't get called to the big leagues for the Dodgers. I didn't golf a lot. I moved to Vegas in 2002, 2003. So the off season of 2003. What is that? My first year in Toronto. Somebody called me from a golf course here and asked me if I'd go play in like some celebrity pro-am they had, some think tank out of DC. And I was like, well, I'm not a celebrity and I don't golf. And he goes, go buy clubs. So I think I went to Target and bought clubs for the first time. So I actually picked up golf at like 26 years old. And now I'm addicted to it, man. So I actually didn't play when during I think maybe when I got with the Yankees, I played a little golf, but that was it. I remember me and Tyler Clippard going and doing some tournaments in spring training with the Nationals in 2009, like watching Tiger win down in Florida because I had some buddies on the PGA Tour I trained with. But one of my buddies was Bill Lundy. He's not on the tour anymore, but he was playing at the Zurich in New Orleans, and I was pitching that day in AAA and doing really well. And the Dodgers were on the cusp. I didn't know this at the time, but they're on the cusp of calling somebody up, and it was like me or I think it was Fry was his last name. And so the radio guy and I went down to the Zurich, and it was back before Uber or anything, right? I had to call cabs and hope to get them. And we went down to the Zurich, and I can be at the field late. I can be there around 4:30, 5 o'clock. And I was in jeans all day, and it was super hot, middle of the summer. And well, not middle of the summer, but early. Watched Lundy play some golf and try to get a cab. Well, the cab driver decided he's not coming back.
Oh.
So we sat for an hour. I got to the field at like maybe 6. And my manager was like, bro, what are you doing? And I was like, yeah, this is what happened. Sweat through my pants, like not making any excuses, but it didn't go well that day in New Orleans. And after the game, Fry got called to the big leagues instead of me. I never told Lundy that story either.
Yeah. You better get some reparations from your boy, the golfer guy.
Oh, I never even told him, man. And that was basically the end of the career. I think I retired like a month later.
Does he have a Twitter handle?
Yeah, probably.
We're gonna have to look him up and see if he knows that.
He'll love it. Yeah, look him up. He'll love it.
Josh, do you what's your, obviously being a former pitcher, we saw Scherzer try to play the game of like the quick pitch, and now it's going to be considered a balk. What's your what's your thoughts on the pitch clock and the pitch and batter clock? But then two, like how do you think that those two clocks are going to translate maybe into more overs or unders in a game? What's your thoughts? Unders.
Hitters are going to hate it. It's so bad for hitters. Hitters need to take their time. They need to process. They need to think about what I did, what I'm going to do, what I did last at bat, what I did last series. They need time to process and get into that rhythm. This doesn't allow that. When I was with the Orioles, I told the story a few times. When I was with the Orioles coming up, Sid Thrift, our director of player development, had this thing he called the 12-second rule. And what they said is let's say you're up and I throw a four-seam fastball down and away and you swing and miss. If I can repeat that pitch within 12 seconds, the chances of getting the same result was like 95% or something. So we didn't really realize what was going on with his kids, but we're just taught to work fast. And it just rushes hitters. The human tendency is to react. Hitters' tendency is to swing. It's not to take. And so when you factor in a lot of different things, when a hitter feels rushed, he's going to swing every time. You know, we used to sit there. I know Mike Dunn, lefty, Dunner would do it the opposite of me. I would sit there and wait for hitters. I would hold. And then the hitter that would take his hand off to call time, I would time that in my head. And then I would sit there and hold. And as soon as I saw his hand come off, I would throw a pitch to where he couldn't get the time, but he'd feel rushed and he'd swing every time. Dunner did the opposite. Dunner would sit here and watch him and count, and then he would go time. And as soon as he got time, he would count that in his head. So he went the opposite effect. But as soon as a hitter feels rushed, they swing. And all this is doing. It's you're causing me to work fast, which I do not need to take my time. Anytime a pitcher goes 25, 30 seconds, we get rocked every time anyways. And my defense is on their heels. Hitters get time to process. It's bad for us. And so when you see hitters or pitchers work fast, the game's always better. Our bad days aren't as bad. We're always going to be more successful. And we're seeing that. Like, look what happened when those hitters got rushed. But Max was the great, right? He was our example. He sits there and he manipulated the rules on many different levels. But Max goes, I'm going to hold until you call timeout because you get one of disengagement. So he holds, and the guy calls time. The other thing factoring in is the runner. The longer I hold, the more the runner's going to get heavy, the hitter's hands are going to get heavy, the more they're in a bad position. The runners aren't going to steal when you get flat-footed, or they're going to jump because they're ready to go. The other thing about holding is it causes me to breathe. The more I breathe, the more I relax, the better position I am to throw strikes. This clock is, if used correctly, and starters will do the best with it, if used correctly, is such an advantage for pitchers. It's crazy. So I think we see less stolen bases. I think we see we're going to see like hitters get frustrated and not know how to take the time back. We're going to see pitchers relax a lot more because it's like, oh, you got 15 seconds. What do you mean you can take your time? Well, I'm going to get on the mound at 15 seconds and be ready. And so whatever the hitter does, it doesn't matter. I need 3 or 4 seconds to be relaxed. It's not like come, set, go. This is such a good thing. I remember like I was in Toronto. I don't know if I told you guys this. I was in Toronto. And, you know, Derek Jeter, Nomar Garcia, all those guys, right? These little things, they take forever.
Oh, yeah.
Derek does that. He calls time, he digs in, and he does this for an hour. And we just sit on the mound and we just let him do his thing. And so that's what most hitters do. And I remember one time in Toronto, I was pissed off. And so Derek, and I love Derek, don't get me wrong, but he was up and he was doing this, and I was pissed. I just walked off the back of the mound and sat down during the game. And the umpire looked at me like, what are you doing? And Derek kind of stopped and he's like, Josh, what are you doing? And I was like, and I just sat here. And then finally the umpire kind of stepped up and he's like, Josh, what are you doing? And a lot of curse words later, I said, when you want to get Derek in the box, you guys let me know when you're ready. Derek, you let me know when you're ready. And when you're ready, I'll be ready. But until then, I'm just going to wait. Take time, do what you got to do. And I just sat there. And so Derek just jumped in the box and went like this. And so I jumped on the mound and he grounded out to second base.
I love that. We have to find footage of that. That's priceless.
Well, the problem is the next at bat. The next at bat, what did he do? Took forever. Took a sweet time, and I sat on the mound and I allowed him to take it back, and he got a base hit. And it just teaches you. It's like taught me so much, but like he wants to get into his rhythm. I want to take him out of his rhythm. That's really the game I'm playing on the mound, anyways, in some little format. And all you did was just give me the ticket to do this whenever I want on the mound. And what is a hitter going to do? What are you going to do? I can step off twice. I can pick off twice, whatever it is. You can only disengage once.
Right.
And so once you get in the box, like Max showed, once you get in the box, like that hitter in spring training, he put his foot in and he saw Max ready, and he was just like, you got to be kidding me. And he knew as soon as he put the other foot in, Max was going to throw. He's not ready to hit. Will it be that extreme? I don't know, but it's not good for hitters.
No, that was well said.
Quick.
It was well said.
Real quick on to that, though. So it's the 15 seconds for the hitter.
Mm-hmm.
How are third base coaches going to actually relay any kind of signals into these guys? But I guess the whole caveat to that is, are they actually even relaying signals into these guys? Is there even, bunts out. Nobody bunts, so we can eliminate that. Is there actually still signals getting thrown to these hitters?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, I would love to say we have earpieces in now, like the catchers and pitchers get, which is dumb, but they don't. Yeah, no, there still are signals. I look at it from having experienced that my whole life and what it does successfully for us. It's such a bad thing for baseball. It's not good for our game. Major League Baseball, like I always talk about, you're trying to speed up the game because you got us sitting in the stands drinking, I'm not drinking a Mick Ultra, but drinking beers, looking on our cell phone, which I have access to the entire world right here. And you want me to focus on this game that has action every limited. And so unless you know the game from the inside out or love baseball, you're not going to be tuned in every 2 seconds. It's not like hockey. I go to the Knights game. It's 20 minutes of this back and forth. You don't even have time to look at this thing because the action's nonstop. Our game's different. So there's different ways to keep me engaged. And you want to get me off of this in the stands. So you're going to speed up the game, change the rules, add a shot clock. You're going to do things that aren't good for our game just to try to get me undistracted from my phone. We can't go to dinner and have people undistracted from their phone. But you want me to do that at a be happy that I bought the baseball package. Be happy that I'm in the stands. Be happy that I'm having a beer and some hot dogs. And stop overly trying to change the game to where a part-time fan is somebody you're trying to target. Like, it's just not good for our game of baseball at all.
I'm with you. I actually want to go to a game and actually have it go in the extra innings. I'd love to see more baseball and see the craziness that goes on in extra innings.
And I'd love to see, right? What if
I'd love to see a position player come in the 13th and have to throw 2 innings. But these people
play the outfield.
These people who want to speed this up, I don't get it.
Pete Rose said it best to me. He always said, like, if you want to break my hit record, you might want to have some extra inning games. You might want to have 17 inning games and get a couple extra at bats, because if you don't, you're never going to get there. Well, we took all of that away. Right? We have all these records that are never going to be touched ever again. And now we're changing all these rules, but we're comparing generational stats, which is impossible as well. And so you want to, I don't want to say anything rude because he's the nicest person on planet Earth, but Scott Rowland just won the Hall of Fame. His career numbers aren't Barry Bonds' one season. They're not Frank Thomas's 2-year career, right? Like, they're not even comparable. And so, it's not to say Scott Rowland maybe wasn't a Hall of Famer, but don't look at stats and put Scott Rowland in the Hall of Fame when I'm looking at Frank Thomas's stats and I'm looking at all these other guys' stats that are off the charts next level. Like, we can't do that anymore. You can't compare these people. It's not comparable, because if we're going stat-based, Scott Rowland had, 1,800 hits or something? Like, had RBIs over 100. I don't even know if he ever did. Like, it's not – so then all of a sudden he's a really good third baseman and his glove was great. It's just we're changing too many things. That's not just factoring to the game on the field. It's factoring to so many other things. It's just not good.
Well, I think you have to break it into eras, like the steroid era, the pre-1980s, whatever. Now the modern era of the new rules. Like, you've got to separate it and almost chapter it.
You still, and it's just this crazy stats, like who has the most complete games since I think 2007. Roy Halladay. Roy's not even with us anymore.
Yeah.
Right? So, we have to break these things up. It's impossible.
Hey, here, you actually walked into something I just wrote down. I was going to touch on the pitchers. Do you know how many complete games there were thrown last year? I just looked it up.
Well, I don't know the exact answer. I want to say 2. But I want to say, I looked at the Brewers, I think it was a year before last year I looked at the Brewers, and they had 1 complete game in 5 years or something. It was something
35 is what I saw for last year.
How about this? This was my point to the playoffs. I'm glad you said that. This is my point to the playoffs. So I'm a starter, right? And I have my relievers. I got to let you guys do your job if we're going to be the best version of whatever team we are. So all of a sudden Seattle gets to the postseason, and instead of trusting their bullpen, we bring in Robbie Ray to pitch the 9th inning, okay? Do you know how many complete games Robbie Ray has in his career? Do you know how many times Robbie Ray's pitched the 9th inning in a Major League Baseball game?
I'm going to guess 0.
Yeah.
0. Now you're going to put him in the bullpen in a situation he's not prepared to do. He doesn't have this time to prepare. He hasn't played catch in 4 or 5 hours, maybe 6 hours. Now you're going to put him in a position where his heart rate's geeked up. Instead of having stretch, catch, bullpen, go, now he has 15 pitches to get ready, and then you want him to face the best hitter in our game. It's a design fail rule, right? So, it's a lot of things like that. Not only has he never done it, he's never seen the 9th inning of a game, and now you're going to put him in the postseason? It's just crazy to me, all these things. 35 is impressive, actually. Were there 7-inning games?
Won a team, right?
The games now are going to feel like they're 7 innings. I'll say that from a viewer standpoint.
They're beautiful. Hey, Mark, I remember Burley, because I work fast and Burley worked fast, and I remember every time we'd match up, as we're getting loose, he would look at me and be like, over, under. And I'll be like 2? And he'd be like, nah, 154. Let's see if we can get in 154. And we would talk like this to see how fast we can get the game over with because we work so fast.
I love it. Given all the rule changes, obviously there's been some huge acquisitions in the league. You got Dansby going to Chicago. You got Trey coming to Philly, but then you had the World Baseball Classic injuries with Diaz, and then Rhys Hoskins comes back, blows his knee out. What are maybe some teams that you're looking to do maybe better than expected or, on the rise? And then maybe what's a team or two that, now, whether it's an injury or just lack of roster build or whatever, you're looking to kind of have a down season? From a betting perspective, like over-under wins, I guess.
Yeah, I was looking at some of that today a little bit too. I didn't get too deep into it, but yeah, it's right. So Bryce goes out and he's maybe back at All-Star break, but then you take Bryce out, but you add Trey Turner. You're like, it's a pretty good trade-off right there. And then I get Bryce back, and their starting pitching's pretty good. They added their bullpen. So, and I know we're talking about a team that went to the World Series, but that team, although with the loss, kind of got better. And then I look at Houston, for example, right? You lose Gurriel, and then I think, man, he was such a great clubhouse guy. And they had that little Cuban connection that Bregman was a part of. And on social media, we got these video clips, and it was so fun. And being a great clubhouse guy is better for a team, really, than maybe on the field at times. But then what did you do? You lose him, and you add Jose Abreu, maybe top 10 best player in our game. I feel like Houston got better, and I don't even think that starting staff got good yet, right? So then you got another team who was up there at the top of the league, and they, in my opinion, got better. And then I want to go to Texas, right? And I want to think that Texas got better. And then my brain goes, it's freaking Texas. They never get better, right? It's and I want to believe in them too, man, so bad because they are in a great division. I think Seattle's a good team, and they've done a really good job with what they had. Their starting pitching got better, and pitching is the backbone, and any bullpen's the backbone of any winning team. But we know the Angels aren't going to win. They don't ever win. They're not very good. We know that, and we know Oakland's out. So I look at Texas, and I go, wow, maybe Texas, maybe they can walk away and steal that division. And they got to be respectful numbers, I would imagine. So I don't know. I mean, I kind of go around the league and I have question marks with some teams and I get excited about the others, but there's no team that I look at that I'm like, they took this massive step. I mean, Cincinnati was one game away from the postseason 2 years ago and then completely dismantled their team, and they're not even a relevant factor in our game now. Who does that? Right. So I don't know if there's any of those teams. I mean, the Padres are really good, but where's their starting staff? What happened? Where's their depth? What did I just miss? I looked at their roster today and I was like, is everybody hurt? Because the Dodgers look pretty good, but they're always pretty good. So then it's if you don't get off to a good start, are you always playing catch up on a division like that? I don't know. And then trying to think of the National League and the Central and stuff, but I mean, it's just really the Cardinals.
I'll give before Jason. I know Jason has a question. I like the Cubs. Their over-under was, I believe, 78.5. I like them.
You like them just to go over.
Correct. Yeah, I think they're a better team than 78 wins. I think they're not going to get a great Dansby compared to what he was in Atlanta. I think he's a great clubhouse presence for them that, they lost with Contreras. So that kind of washes out from the locker room standpoint. But I think their offense, they've got some pieces. Definitely better than last year. I mean, Ian Happ's obviously solid. Dansby's going to give you probably 280s, decent RBI guy, good defense. You've got the Suzuki, the guy from Japan should be pretty well. So, I think from an over perspective, there may be a team that's going to overperform, obviously based off the numbers Vegas has, but that's just one of the teams I like.
Let me throw a couple things at you real quick on that. You think, do you think it's a bigger pickup for the Cubs getting Dansby or a bigger loss for Atlanta losing Dansby? And then where's the wins going to come from as far as your starting pitching is concerned? Because if we're looking at Marcus Stroman who gets about 3 or 4 wins a year, that's not going to happen. We know that. So, like, where are the wins coming from outside of – because offenses don't win in baseball. Look at every All-Star game. They're loaded with the best players in the game, and it's like 2-1, 3-2 games because the pitching's so good. So, I like a lot. I mean, Bellinger's a great addition, especially late in that lineup. I mean, there's some good additions that they needed to that team, but when I look at the starting pitching in the bullpen, I have a hard time finding it.
That's a fair point. Yeah, definitely fair. I mean, I think obviously offensively they got better. They're going to beat up on the Pirates, so give them.
Oh, I don't know about that. Slow down.
Give them 10 wins. Like they're gonna play the Nationals. They're definitely better than the Nats, so there's some wins. I haven't looked deep into them, but I just think they're more of a 500 team than under 500 because they did get better than last year. And last year, towards the second half of the season, they actually were above 500. I don't know. It's going to be a sweat. Like, I don't think they're going to win 85 to 90 games, but I think that you could get them in that kind of 82 or 81 range. But
you're in the right division for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Jason, I know you had a question.
However, though, real quick on that, and I don't mean to steal thunder, they don't play as many games against their division anymore because now they're going to play everybody. So
yeah, they balance the schedules out.
Yeah, that lineup I just looked is Stroman, Hendricks, Smiley, Steele, and Jameson Taillon.
And Steele's probably the best one.
And he's their 5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Taillon had a good year. He needed that. He's always been good. Stroman, again, if you look at his numbers, it's just not the guy.
Yeah.
His ERA is good, but there's no wins. And in the big leagues, it's just about winning. I mean, that's just the fact. I mean, paying $20 million a year, you might want to win some games. It's like Nathan Eovaldi. Again, talking about Texas, I look at Nathan and I'm like, all right, he's legit, but look at his wins. How many times has he won double-digit games? It just doesn't happen. So it's is he going to go deep enough to where I can piece my bullpen, or is he going to go 4 and 5 and my bullpen picks up the second half of the game? And that's my whole thing about those guys. Smiley's fun,
true,
but he's like me. He's either on or he's going to get rocked, right? So how much reliance do you have on guys like me and him?
I love that. You just talk so candidly about yourself.
We all want to think we did good all the time, but it's not reality.
So could the Marlins have been that team if they were in the Central?
Glad you said that. That team surprises me. Like, you look at that rotation, I'll put that rotation up against anybody in baseball. And if you look at what Cabrera did, is it Cabrera? What he did after Sandy Alcantara, every game last year, the second half of the season, if you bet him first 5, you own a house right now. Because it was 5 innings, 1 hit, no runs. 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 run. It was unbelievable. And so that rotation and then that team, I feel like, has enough pieces in the right place where they're going to be in most games. I think they got off to a bad start, and Jeter's whole – you didn't put no money back in this team, so I'm out. I think Kim has done a good job this year with the team. And so, I think that's probably the biggest sleeper team in the game.
Well, they get Jazz Chisholm back, too.
Josh, the division's the only problem because it's so good.
Josh, I got one more for you here. The World Baseball Classic, are you a fan of it? Because, it's at a time right before the season. The Mets lose their closer for the year. With a really just freaking situation. They're just jumping up and down, and he just blew his leg out. So Astros lose their second baseman for a little bit. Are you a fan of the World Baseball Classic? And if you are, would you maybe change it at a different time?
So remember Kendrick Morales hit that grand slam, that walk-up with the Angels, and he jumped up at home plate, celebrated, and blew his ACL out, missed it. I mean, it's very silly. You don't know when injuries are going to happen. They're usually non-contact anyway, especially something like that. The World Baseball Classic, to me, outside of Little League Baseball, is the best version of baseball we have on planet Earth, to me. I think the Classic is the absolute thing. What the fans did, you saw 97% of Japanese households have the games on.
That was crazy.
It's what it means to the world. Our game is not an American sport. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's a world sport. And for all of us involved, and probably you all as well, look at opening day roster. It's probably 50-50, from the States or not from the States on opening day rosters for across Major League Baseball. And all of our friends are from all over the world, and there's a reason I root for Venezuela because of a lot of people that I know, in Mexico as well. And every style of baseball, Dominican, Puerto Rican, it's all different. Japanese styles are different. And you, speaking of advantages, you learn tendencies on where people are from in the country and how aggressive they are to play the game. And so when we watch it, man, it's just like, or when I watch it, it just takes me back to like the sacrifices these guys make in Cuba to come play, to get here, like why some of those guys didn't want to play on the team. And it takes me back to being in Mexico and watching my buddies and understanding, like, we got to get on the bus in some of them cities, right? Like, you don't mess around. And again, I just loved it. I thought it was the best version of baseball. It's the only time we can play it. There's no other time we can play it. And you saw, especially when you see our American boys appreciate it as much as they do, that tells you how important it is.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Trey Turner say that was the biggest hit of his career in that moment, to hit that go-ahead home run. One player I wish that would have played in it, I've grown a big fan of him because the starting nine for Barstool was Jake Arrieta. He had an offer to play for, I believe, Puerto Rico, and he ultimately turned it down. But I think that would have been awesome to see him come out one more time out of retirement to kind of play for that. So maybe we can get him to come out. It's every 4 years, so he's probably not going to come out. But that would have been cool to see him.
4 or 3.
I've always been a fan of Arrieta, and I think that would have made him a lot better. But outside of that, I think, like you said, it's probably the best product of baseball that we see, because in the Olympics, you don't get that. I mean, it's so overshadowed by every other sport that's going on at the time. To have that focus, I think was incredible. But as we're wrapping up, do you have anything you want to plug in, or what are you working on? Anything like that? What's going on out in Vegas?
We're throwing up more spheres and buildings and a lot of cool stuff. No, man, like, I just do part-time stuff on VSiN. Just got normal jobs here in Las Vegas, and just try to be a baseball fan.
Yeah.
Learning to play golf is not normal.
Josh, I'm going to put you on the spot real quick. You're a California guy. A little bit of trivia today. Who is San Diego State Aztecs all-time assist leader in hoops? He's a baseball player, so we'll see if you can dig this up.
Tony Gwynn. Did Tony go there?
It is. It is. Yeah. The only reason I wanted to do that too is we want to get your pick on the Final Four. Who do you got? Who do you got winning it all?
Can I skip? My girl and I have something where you get one skip a day on a question. Here's my follow up, and then I'll answer that question. Who's in it?
Ooh, Lord.
Well, maybe Josh has been watching the XFL. He doesn't know. So.
Josh, yeah, you've been watching XFL. I got plays for you, so that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Hey, get that team. By the way, get that team in a better stadium out there, because that is some hot garbage. They got to do better in Vegas. The Vegas Vipers are playing in like a high school field.
Oh, I know it's bad.
Dude, that's bad. Your backyard's got to look better than that. Put some stripes on that field, please.
And you know what's crazy is so we had a couple high schools, I think it was, that were supposed to go up and they didn't go up. So all that money went to every high school football field. So every high school football field has been returfed in the last 2 years. They all look amazing. So you can go to any high school field, go to Gorman's, go to Liberty's, and you got a better stadium than what they're doing.
Yeah, that was brutal. That's a bad showing. Mm-hmm. Shame on your city. Call whoever and get that sorted out. You got some clout. You're VSiN. You pitch. Listen, you know who I am? Do you know who I played for?
Yeah, get Derek Stevens on the horn.
Yeah.
Hey, well, listen, he's got the pool, that's for sure.
Definitely.
We can play it on the pool deck.
It's got to be better.
There won't be much action going on except stuff that shouldn't be going on.
Yeah.
Listen, they got some first pitch stuff going on tomorrow. He wants me to come down there with my glove. He got Maddox going out a first pitch. I don't know what we got going on, but something's going on at Circa tomorrow. It should be fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That should be really cool.
Well, cool. We'll definitely, hopefully they do something like that, we'll check it out on Twitter. We got to find that clip of you sitting down with Jeter. I mean, that's priceless. If you have it, send it to us. If not, we're going to scour the internet.
I don't even have the clips of me drilling Alex and getting in fights. It's like almost impossible. We played in prehistoric times. We missed the Twitter media era.
Fair enough.
We'll look it up. We'll try.
Yeah, we'll look it up. We find it. Yeah.
We'll send it. We'll send it to you, Josh.
I appreciate it.
All right, Josh, we appreciate you coming on. We're going to wrap it up. We'll definitely bring you on throughout the season. We love the story time, and we'll kind of we touch base now. We'll see what teams are doing, and we'll go from there. We'll ride this whole season together.
Appreciate you guys.
So, all right, thanks, Josh.
Appreciate it.
Josh.
Yes, sir. Take care.
All right, boys. I mean, that kind of wraps up the show. I don't have anything else. Do you have anything?
No, he's
Boys.
fantastic. We got to get him on a lot more.
That dude can just talk.
I know.
Stories.
I love it. He kills some time, but they're so like you're locked in. It's hard to.
Can you imagine if we got him and Sean Casey on together, spitting out stories left and right?
What you need to do is next year when you go out to Vegas, is just meet up with Josh and hang out.
I didn't know he lived there. Or I definitely would hit him up. Well,
dude, that would be.
Back in September, so
yeah, there you go.
I'd pay $20 at Stadium Swim. We'd get a cabana. I'd just be like, let's go, let's talk. We're gonna gamble and we're gonna talk.
Yep, that's the best. All I have to say is go Pirates. Let's raise the Jolly 100 tomorrow and get a big win. That's all I want to know.
I'm gonna just give out my over team total.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Over Tigers.
Okay. I mean,
69.5. So
Yeah.
pretty low.
I gave out over 78.5 Cubs and over 57.5 Nats.
I'll post mine tonight. I took over Pirates and not a rip on Matt like I told him last night, but I took the under with the Phillies. So I'll post that tonight.
Oh, geez, don't be sensitive.
Jason, you got anything before we wrap it up?
I'm such a nice guy, Jason.
I think I'm going to fade the Yankees, actually. I was looking at when we were talking about them. I think their total right now is 94.5. You look at that starting lineup, everybody's over 34 years old. That's amazing. That's the oldest team by far in baseball, and guys get hurt when they're that old. So
yeah, that's true. All right, boys, we will wish the Nats a curly W tomorrow, the Pirates, the Phillies. Let's hopefully we all get wins for our team. We all get a win closer on the overs and our plays again. They'll be on Twitter, on our personal accounts as well as Notebook Wagering. And this is the start of baseball, so we're getting ready to hammer it. We've got Final Four coverage. Again, we'll be posting all that stuff on Twitter. We'll figure out, maybe we'll do a Twitter space for the national championship, kind of dip our toes in that. And as we always say, bang your bookies.